Anyway, I had heard early on, I had heard tell that comedy is not pretty. And when I first started doing comedy, and I'm still like this, I don't mind making an idiot out of myself, so I would just send out tapes to everybody. It was back in videotape land. I didn't have an agent. I would just put my videotape together and wrap it really nicely, and then I'm a cartoonist, so I would do this really cool, funny lettering on the outside, because I wanted it to be such a treat for the person, at the Tonight Show receiving this amazing package from me. And how thrilled. I mean, I was so excited thinking about, this looks so great. I can't wait for them to get this and open it. So I was super excited when I received a phone call. I received a phone call from The Tonight Show. And I'm thinking, this is it. This is it. Hello? And he's like, well, Teresa, we looked at your tape. And we think you're really funny, and we'd like you to come out to L.A. and do a showcase, a live showcase for us. And I was like, well, sure. And I'm inside, I'm thinking, yes. And I ran around the house, and I was like, this is it. This is where I get discovered. This is me becoming a star. Because when they see me, they're going to love me. And oh my God, they're going to be so lucky. They're the ones who got to discover me. And I was just absolutely beyond thrilled. So I am getting ready and being super excited about the whole thing. And I'm having people, my friends, tell me, well, you don't really have a look on stage, and you really need to think about that, Teresa. And I thought I had a look. I got a call from The Tonight Show, but, they were all advising me. I had one booker, a guy that I worked for a whole lot. He said, you're from the South. You should probably wear, flowery dresses or something. And I'm thinking, well, he gives me paying work, so maybe I ought to do what he says. And then all my lesbian friends were telling me, well, you really need a new look because you are spiky-haired and you wear baggy clothes, which is like the lesbian uniform. So femme it up, girl. Change what you're wearing. And I was like, okay, everybody's giving me advice, and it was bad advice, so I took it. And I went and bought myself this beautiful vintage Lucy dress. I Love Lucy, kind of, it was cinched and kind of like this. I got it at a thrift store. I thought I was so smart. This is what I'm going to wear for my audition because I'm going to become a star when they see me. And so I fly to L.A., and I'm thinking this as I'm going out there, that I had bought this dress, and it wasn't really flattering. And it didn't really fit well. And I just thought, well, I think everybody's giving me this great advice, so I'm going to wear this dress. Now, I'll tell y'all something. I've got two things about my physical appearance my whole life that are the only things I've ever been comfortable with. And one is my breasts. That's my first one. It was actually two, I guess, if you're going to. But in this dress, my breastises looked like tiny little weird beanbags. So this is my audition for the Tonight Show dress at the Comedy Store. So I go and I get up there and I've got my dress and I'm thinking, and I'm doing my regular stuff that I do, when my kind of one-liner stuff. I say, my mom used to say to me, now, Teresa, don't be afraid of the dark. It's the things in the dark that'll get you. Good night, sweetie. And the one that would turn every crowd on me was, I owned a cat once. I was in a pet store that had a you break it, you bought it rule. Yeah, see? And I'm up there just doing my stuff, and the whole time I'm up there, I'm thinking, oh, wow, my breasts look like beanbags. And it's all I could think about. And I'm standing there thinking, what am I saying? Why does that matter? Am I saying this out loud? Is my set over? Am I done with my comedy? So then I come off stage, and Jimmy comes over to me, and he says, in that way that comics say to each other, instead of laughing at each other, we go, that was funny. That was funny, man. It was really funny. So he says that to me, and I'm like, cool. And he said, well, so I'm going to pitch you to Leno tomorrow, and then I'll give you a call. And I'm like, excellent. So I go back, and I'm waiting for the phone call, and I get this phone call. And it was when phones still rang. And I answer it, and he's like, hi, Teresa, this is Jimmy. And I'm thinking, this is it. I mean, remember this, girl. Remember this moment, because this is the moment. This is where you become a star. And all of those nights on the road, all of those hell gigs in the Midwest, all of the stuff that got thrown at me while I was on stage, including chains and knives, one highlight, all the hecklers, all the people yelling at me to strip, all of the, well, it was 30 years ago. Shut up. So all of these things have come, and I'm thinking, I've been outright humiliated. I've put 1,000 miles a week on my car. This is when it pays off. All that writing and all that editing and honing my craft and finessing the arc of my act. And he says, well, I pitched you and they didn't bite. And I was so shocked. Like, I could not believe it. And I'm such a nice Southern girl. I was like, really? Okay, well, thank you very much, Jimmy. That's all I could think of to say. And he said, but you know what, Teresa, I think you're really funny, and I want you to come back next year. Because he says, I really like you, and you come back next year and audition, and I'll pitch you again. And I said, okay, that sounds great to me. Thank you very much, Jimmy. Thank you so much. I'll do that for sure. And the next day, I'm staying with this producer friend of mine who produced a sitcom. So she's taking me around the set, and she's introducing me to writers. And every time she introduces me to people on the set, she goes, this is my friend Teresa, and she was in town to audition for The Tonight Show. And they were all so nice, y'all. They'd say stuff like, oh, how'd it go? Did it go okay? That's so cool that you're doing that. That's neat. And I was so raw at that point because it was sinking in. It was really sinking in, like, I really thought that was my moment. That was the moment. Wasn't that my trajectory-changing moment wherein I go soaring through the stratosphere and everybody knows my name? And I was just raw walking around the studio. And so they would say these really nice things to me, and I was such an idiot. I was saying inane, cringe-worthy things like, I was really great, but they didn't want me. And then I would do this weird little laugh, like, and I just cringe when I look back and think of it. I really do. But just to let you know, the next year I was planning to go back and audition. I really wanted to do that, but I found myself in first trimester morning, noon, and night sickness, vomiting every 20 minutes. And so I called Jimmy and told him, and I said, I don't think that's conducive for audience pleasure. But 21 years later, I have a son, but I do know that comedy is not pretty. Thank you.